What is up, everybody, and welcome to the Fracture Guide. At the moment of recording this, Fracture is not fully back in, and we won't be seeing it for another, I think it's about 2 weeks that we have left until it comes in. So one thing that I do want to preface before you go into this guide is that Fracture may return with some changes, so some things I may go over could be different or may not work. More than likely, it's going to return like Pearl did, where it's not going to change that much, or if it does return, it's probably going to return with very minor changes, as not too many people had complaints on the map itself. Any complaints were more of like an opinionated thing rather than it's something that genuinely needed to be changed. So I don't expect it to come back with massive changes, but if it does, pre-warning that some of these things may not work. But overall, I think most of the things will be able to work, as it's more out of related, not quite in the map itself. And I don't think they're going to overhaul this map to change it at all. But how this video is going to work is for people that have not played on Fracture yet. Yes, you may have seen it in unrated or swift play or any of those other modes. I still want to go over briefly, very briefly, how to play this map and what you can expect on this map, both on defense and attack, because this map can be very overwhelming. That's one of the main reasons people don't like it. But even if you have played on Fracture before and you think you got it all, I would still stick through, because I am going to go over some really basic setups on Deadlock when we talk about the defense half, and then we're going to go over the some wall lineups and Wallboost, which is something I haven't covered before because I haven't been so confident in them before. But this map has some really decent wall lineups that I really like, and then I will go over ult lineups for both post plant and plant denial. And then, just like the Pearl video, I will have a little compilation of sonic sensors, and I think this time you guys should really stay tuned for that part, because there's going to be a lot more sensors on this map rather than Pearl, because Pearl is a little bit like the sites are a lot more open and the map itself is a bit more open, so it's not as easy to get some really unique sensor spots. But on this map, there's a lot. I think Deadlock is going to shine on this map, even with the lurking issue, so long as you play it correctly. I think you guys will really come to like playing Deadlock on this map, and I think you guys will really come to like this map in general, so long as you look at it with an open mind. It is a very different map, but it can be a very fun map. So with all that, I have pretty much nothing else to say. This will probably be the first video coming out after I hit 2K subs, and if you guys haven't seen on the community page or the Discord, I greatly appreciate you guys so much for it. It's such a crazy thing to hit on Christmas also, so it was just really nice to see. I really appreciate you guys' constant support as always. But with all that, let's go ahead and get into the Fracture Guide, starting with a brief how to play this map on both attack and defense, while also kind of showing some Deadlock related stuff. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to go over is attack, because this is going to be much shorter than it is on defense, because defense obviously is Deadlock's going to be more preferred side, so it's going to go a little bit more in depth. So the first thing about attacking, and again, this is going to be for like, I'm going to go over just very briefly for anybody that has like almost never seen Fracture before. So this is the attacker spawn, and the first thing you're going to notice is, let me go ahead and end the game phase. And let me fly over to the attacker side. Okay, so the first thing you're going to notice is that unlike the other maps, you usually have lanes that you can go towards that are to the left and right. Well, on this map, it is not quite the same, because we are immediately met with our first spawn barrier, and the other spawn barrier is right there. But what we are given the option for is to zipline across to the other side. The defenders are in the middle of this map, not on the opposite side of the map like they normally are. So you're given 4 lanes that you can push through. And what this leads to is, instead of your team split pushing and converging on the middle of the site, your team will split push and they will meet on the edges of the site. Not the middle of the site, they will meet on the edges and then come out together. Now, this can lead to a lot of lurking, and this can lead to a lot of like explosive takes. Either everybody runs down one way, you split push, or one lurks on the other side of the map, and then you try to take that space as enemies are rotating, because it is very easy to hear them rotating. So how I am planning to play Deadlock on this map is I'm going to be lurking like crazy. Now, I've said this before, no character is bad at lurking. There's just characters that should and characters that shouldn't, and there are characters that excel at it, such as Cypher with his camera. He's the best lurker in the game. We all know this. His trips hold your teammates. Your trip can hold a part where you're lurking at, so that way no one sneaks up on you if they're pushing through mid, depending on the map. You also have your camera to check mid, so on and so on. But Cypher's his own tier. The rest of the Sentinels, though, they all kind of operate the same, in that they're all good for lurking, because they don't have utility that your team really needs to get on site. So I am going to be playing to lurk like crazy on this agent. But she is also going to be very good for site exiting with your team. For example, we have a net lineup here, and this is something that I will go more in depth on later. I will show you more net lineups. But what you're going to see through this is that we have an option to fight with our teammates, as one of the other main points on the defense side is that all the lanes besides arcade over here are very easy to fight. B main, A main, and dish, you're going to make contact immediately. The second the barriers drop, you can almost immediately start fighting. From here to here, you can actually start spraying through the dish to hit anybody that is trying to push you. So this is something that I think Deadlock is going to shine on. And for example, you can just throw the net, you know, normally. You can just do that. But you'll see that sometimes, like, it doesn't quite get that maximum amount. And so I'm going to go over these net lineups a little bit more later.
No escape.
Just an example, you can see that this one comes all the way up here and grabs them, rather than it kind of just, you know, like I just like I'm very big on like making it perfect, and the reason why it has to bounce off here is because if you throw it straight up, it's gonna land way too late. Again, you are able to see these people almost immediately, so it kind of feels pointless to you know, throw like a net that's like up like this. Like, you may be able to do something like, you know, something like that and like have it bounce over. Obviously that one didn't land, but one way or another, the main point that I'm driving with this is that you are going to fight immediately, and your net is going to be a great option to fighting and or stopping these players from pushing up and getting aggressive, because that is one of the main things about Fracture. Is you'll notice a lot of teams are going to try and fight and take space. This map is a kind of a lot like Bind, where you, whatever your weak side is, sometimes you want to fight the other entrance so you can take control of that main and then be able to pressure the people coming from the other way. For example, hookah and garden, it's sometimes good to fight long and get your kills there and have control of long, because once the other people start coming out of hookah, then you can pinch them on site. That's kind of what Fracture is. You know, but it's like more, it's gonna happen more consistently, because on Bind, sometimes you don't win that long fight and then you can't pressure onto site, or after you win that long fight, that's when it does become a pinch. On Fracture, it's always going to be a pinch. Someone, either the attackers are going to get pinched by the defenders after they win main, or the defenders are going to get pinched from how the site is just built. That's kind of how I've always personally taken it, and that's the main thing that I just wanted to point on an attack is lurking is going to be a great option. But if you notice that the enemies are fighting mains a lot, play with your team, throw your net, throw some mollies on top of it, you know, flash, ult, you know, whatever you need to do, like a raise ult or any raise nade, anything like that, as raise is actually a pretty okay option on this map. You're probably going to see neon more than anything, but yes, that's what I feel on attack. I think throwing your net to fight with your teammates, or lurking if they're being a lot more passive, are going to be the main way you should be playing. And honestly, this is what I meant by it being brief. That's really all I have to say for attack. There really isn't anything else. I know this kind of seems like common sense, because most maps, it's, hey, if they're playing passive, lurk. If they're playing aggressive, you know, whatever. But on a lot of maps, like Haven, I will lurk almost all the time. On Haven, I am lurking almost every single round. But some maps, like on Ascent, I'm usually playing with my team a lot more than I am lurking. Though I do lurk, it just depends. Again, Deadlock's main thing is that she's all about adapting. She's all about understanding the scenario she's in and playing to the best abilities and changing your playstyle around that. So that's just a general piece of advice, but overall, that's pretty much everything I have to say about attack. And again, if you guys have any questions, it doesn't even have to just be about lineups or anything like that, about maps, you know, anything in general, just leave them down in the comments. I try to respond to every single comment that I can with the best advice that I can offer. So if you have any questions regarding the attacking side, go ahead and ask. Same thing with defense or any other questions as well. And we also do have a Discord full with amazing people who are willing to help anybody that has a question. So I would go ahead and head on over there too. It's in the description if you are interested. So with all that, let's go ahead and move on to the defense side, and then we'll move into the Deadlock guide portion of it for Fracture. Alrighty, so we are starting on the defense side, and just like I said before, we are in the middle of the map, and this is going to be very odd to some people. I'm going to go ahead and just straight out tell you, the best site for Deadlock is A. There's no question, there's no fighting it. Anybody that tells you otherwise, I'm sorry, it's just wrong. Her best site is A. And the reason why is because we have Deadlock's best sensor on any map. I've said it's the bind one. This is the best one. Let me explain why. The thing with the bind one is, if you don't know, there's actually a way to quietly get out of hookah, and it has happened to me. I've had people quietly get out of hookah. I've had people jump out of hookah and it doesn't stun them. And that's just from misplacement, you know, issues on my hand. Skill issue, if you want to drown it down to that. This sensor, however, is going to get you value no matter what. There's only one thing you can do to counter this trip, and it's gonna land you a kill anyway. So this drop right here, all you're gonna do is just place your sensor right here. You want to make sure that the blue is covering this enough, and that you're not missing anything over here, and that the top of the blue square is up enough to where it's going to stun them. If you have it down here, this isn't going to stun them when they land on here. So you just want to put it right there.
Listening.
So, as you can see, no matter where I stand, this is going to hit me. Now, some people are going to immediately notice and point out, I can just come up and break this. Information. That is information, no matter what, that someone is there. Okay, that happens with the hookah one too. You can break that one. In fact, you can break that one through the wall if you know how to wall bang it correctly. So this one can be broken, but that is information one way or another that someone is here and has the intent of being this far up that they are going to break my trip. So that's one part. There is no way to quietly, without, at least from my knowledge, there may be a really hard way to do it, but from my knowledge, there's no easy way to jump down onto this without making noise. And you also can't jump down to this corner. Now, some people may also point out that once you're down in this corner, you can't really get the kill off of this. Well, that's down to how you're playing. And so if you're playing towards sand over here, this is a free kill, but over here, it may not be as easy of a kill. You're kind of trading off one way or another. Whichever side you sit on, there's going to be an angle that you may not be able to kill them at. That's just how it works, but you're still gaining that someone is now down here. Being down here means you are trapped. You are on the site. You cannot move. You have to either come out or find some way to climb back up. And the only way that you're going to mainly do that is if you're TPing out. And the two TP characters are not that great on this map. Or not preferred, I should say. And again, this is me cherry picking. I'm cherry picking small things to make this trip sound worse when I'm trying to say that this trip is amazing, because it is. And because I have to cherry pick to make it sound any worse. So what is the one thing I was referring to that can be the issue with this trip? Well, and like I said before, it's going to net you a kill anyway. You can do that. You can completely avoid the sensor by jumping around the corner. I don't think you can do it this way. I don't know if that would have caught me or not. But you can definitely do it this way. But let's all be honest. That's a free kill. If this person is jumping out and landing anywhere here, this is a free kill. Not only from them jumping down, but then, you know, they have the recoil of, having to pull their gun out and whatnot. Again, cherry picking. But that's the one thing that I wanted to go over about Deadlock on this defense half, is that A is her best site, that is her best sensor. Let me now go ahead into the more generalized section of it, not talking so much about Deadlock, but the map itself. All right, now being done talking about that specific sensor and Deadlock being strong on A, I want to talk about in a more generalized perspective on how to play defense for, again, the people that maybe haven't played this map yet or want a refresher, like I said earlier. So the main thing that I want to point out for defense players is that don't be so scared about how the map is structured. I know that it can seem weird or claustrophobic that you are playing on the site here and there are people coming this way and there are people coming this way. This is where we need to know, how do we want to play? What do we want to do? Where do we want to set up our util? Do we notice that they are coming more through main, and maybe we should wall this way for a lurk and then set up more aggressive sensors? So for example, let me go ahead and end the game phase. We toss our wall, and then we have like this sensor here, and then maybe we have one here, so that way we can fight on site if we are more comfortable with being stuck in this area and fighting, back and forth, and then, having this walled off to either stop the other chunk of their team or the lurker. Or do we want to go fight in the main? Because then if we fight in the main, we need to prioritize what needs to be watched. Well, then let's say we are wanting to play towards sands instead. Well, we need to put this sensor here because we don't want to get flanked up on. But if we're playing like let's say we're playing to have them push into us, and we want to trap them in, like into this sensor. We may come up, pop the door, and we may run back. Well, what if they end up not going this way? Well, we don't want them to all just be able to funnel in the site really easily, so we need to be ready to either wall, or we need to preemptively toss this wall down and then run over and put our sensor down. Now, that can sound like a lot at once, and this is something that you would like want to practice. And again, the main thing that I'm pointing out is these are just quick scenarios to explain that it comes down to what are they doing? How are they playing? And then dispersing your utility out how you should, so that way it maximizes. The basic way that I think of it is, if there's an area they can lurk in, you need to throw your wall in the opposite direction. So for example, let's say we have a teammate that's like, hey, we're gonna fight dish. Okay, that's perfect. I'm gonna wall off that way, so that way they can't lurk up behind this. And then maybe you can say, hey, I'm gonna put a sensor here, let's bait them into it. Or maybe you don't put the sensor down and then you net. But if you're going to use your net, then we need to put these sensors on site. And the way that I go about doing this is, if the wall is here, we need to put the sensors on site, because we don't want them, or like deeper in site, not on site, deeper in site, because we don't want them to come up to this wall and accidentally set them off. So putting a sensor like, this floor sensor here, which is another one I will go over in the little montage at the end. This sensor is pointless if we're going to be walling this off. And this is like kind of like a Deadlock 101 thing that I just want to push out there, because I notice a lot of people doing it. And to be frank, it drives me crazy. Doubling up your utility is pointless unless you're going for like a mega combo to get easy kills. But there's no point in having this sensor here pre-round, because the barrier is like all the way up here. There's no point in having this sensor here if we're going to also wall off, because when they break this wall, they're going to set it off. There's no point in doing that. We might as well just put our sensors here for when they do break this wall and then they rush into sight, then we're up here and we can, swing off the sensors going off. Much better idea. Now, you may be like, okay, but aren't we leaving sands open? Well, if you don't know this yet, sands makes an extremely loud noise when you open it up. So you're going to always know that someone is coming this way, which then you can focus your attention more towards that. Maybe you save your net for it, so on and so on. Again, these are very specific scenarios that I'm creating for this. Not only is Fracture kind of like an adapting map, maybe not adapting is the right word, but you're going to be fighting a lot. You're going to be moving and sitting in different and weird areas, and getting creative, I think, is like one of the best ways to play this map and play Deadlock in general. Again, I will push this and push this and push this, that you need to be creative and adaptive with Deadlock. But that is pretty much everything I have to say, and this goes for the same on B as well. If you are noticing that they are going arcade, maybe you need to wall arcade off and then put your sensors down on site. And then if they break the wall to arcade, maybe you pick one of the sensors up and put them in tower to throw them off when they start pushing you. And I'll go ahead and give you a quick example. So for example, one sensor that I plan on using is this one. It's just a very good one for when they're pushing into sight. It's not really one you're going to expect too much. And then the other one is like, you can do like a general one like this for when they go right. And then I'm going to play in tower and then wall this off, because it's usually the area that gets lurked up more. We're going to just act like the wall went down normally. But let's say they break that wall. Well, I can just grab that one and then, toss this here for when they push in. And then I'm waiting, and then I swing off when they push up into it. But in the trade-off of it, this net is no longer going to be used for over here. I'm going to use it over here, so that way it's 2 and 2. One sensor, one wall, one sensor, one net. For example, you can also leave the sensor where I had it. We place it down, and then once the wall breaks, we're playing, we throw our net off the wall, and then look, you would have hit basically all of them. One wall, one net, 2 stuns. That's kind of, I think, I like to think of it as just making it equal. You're getting the maximum potential out of each piece of your utility when you're using it nice and spread out, rather than clumping it all in one area. For example, I see a lot of people who will double up their stuns, but that doesn't work. You can't double up the stuns. You're just resetting the timer that already immediately started, if that makes sense. For example, there's no point to do a stun like this, where it goes all the way across. It's just pointless. The only reason I could think of this is if you're going for like some very specific play, where like you're wanting them all to hit all these stuns. But even then, like, you're losing so much stun value when they cross over like this. That's just my opinion on it all. But that is everything I have to say now, let's go ahead and get into the Deadlock specific parts, starting with the net lineups. Then we'll go into some wall boosts, which I think some people will be very excited for. Some wall lineups for attacking, which I think people will also be interested in. Then we're going to go over some ult lineups. There's some very, very cool ones on this map. And then I'm going to do the little montage with the sonic sensors. So let's go ahead and jump into that right now. All right, guys, and before we move into this next part, this audio may sound a little different, and I would love to hear you guys' feedback about it because I'm learning how mics and stuff work. I actually just got this new mic. This is a few days after the last recording, so if you guys have anything to say about the new mic, just let me know down in the comments below. If I need to turn it down, turn it up, if you like it, if you don't like it, so on and so on. So we're going to go ahead and move into the next part, which is going to be the Gravnet Lineups. The main thing I'm going to point about Gravnet Lineups is that we really only have 3. Because on the A main push, there is 1, but it's kind of just a really basic 1. There isn't like anything crazy you can do that the others are able to do. And honestly, for all of them, they are on a more basic level. But that's all we want. And one thing that I was realizing and learning as I was recording this guide is that I did say before lurking is going to be really good. And I still think that. However, I think that fighting with your team is actually going to be super strong because, like I said before, and I did mention this, but I realized that the more that I was doing Gravnet lineups and stuff, that it's going to be so good to just fight with your team because your Gravnet is going to shut down any type of push. If you don't net somebody, you immediately know that A main is clear and that they're either fighting dish or they're on site. Now that seems like a concept, like a basic concept that for most maps, but a lot of other maps can find some sneaky way or like, there isn't like a fighting a different area. It's kind of common sense that they're going to be somewhere else. And I just think fighting with your teammates with the nade is actually going to be pretty good. So again, that whole concept of like flip-flopping is going to be really, really good on Deadlock. And I think that's your main focus. For my first one here, I have 2. I'm going to show you 3. I'm going to show you 3 different ones. One of them is really basic. And the main reason why, these lineups are a little different from the other ones is because if you're, for example, this is what we're going to be lining up with, by the way. If we're lining up here, there's no point in us looking up into the sky because by the time that this person gets all the way out, that net is going to be landing. So Jet is going to be dashed out already, or whoever is peeking, Chamber is going to be TP'd out. Whoever is peeking you is already going to be gone by the time your nade lands. If not, right as it lands, they're going to be like out of the range. So the first one is the basic one. This is literally one that anybody is going to do if you play on like a very basic level, which is just tossing the nade. Now, my issue with this is that it does land in a good spot. I think it's noticeable. That's the first thing. I think it's noticeable. And also, it doesn't quite get all the way back. So if they peek out and then they're like, oh, never mind, and they back up, it's not going to catch them. So you can totally do this one. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with that. But if you want, I also don't think it hurts to come here. And we have 2 variations, one that is a little less consistent and then one that is more consistent. And that's why I'm showing the 2 of these, because one of them is better than the other because it covers more, but it's less consistent. And then the other one is better, but it doesn't cover as far back. So the less consistent one, you're going to be looking up between this little box and this gray box here. There's this gray line between, and you're just going to be looking directly in the middle. You're going to run jump throw, but you're not gonna run. You're gonna just tap the movement key forward just to get that little bit of a boost. So just like this. No escape. And this is where it gets inconsistent because sometimes it'll bounce off of here, and then land directly down here, and it covers this entire way. As you saw, this one landed over here. And again, the only reason I'm showing this one off, even though it isn't super consistent, is because I still think it's worth it to. Yeah, there's the really good one. As you can see, it comes all the way down here and all the way back up here and bounces off this part right here. And again, the main reason that I'm showing this one off is that you can get it if you are able to consistently throw it properly. Then I would go for this one. But if you want something that's more consistent and a lot easier to throw, is you're going to be walking up to the line again, which that's the nice part, is that these are all on the same line. Now, I am on low graphics, so you might need to be put yourself on low graphics just to see where it is. But once you see it, it's not that hard. You're going to be looking at all the leaves draping down off the top of the building here. And right here, there's this like super small one compared to the rest. When I back out, it's a lot more noticeable. You'll see there's like this darker green blob, this leaf, and then there's this tiny one right above it. And you're going to go not on it, but right below it.
Throwing net.
And you'll see it hits this and then drops down, and it covers a very solid amount of area compared to the very basic nade, which lands right here. You can see it just doesn't quite cover the amount of area that I would personally like. So that's why I don't like throwing the basic one, and I'm probably going to be throwing these ones very consistently. So like, for example, you can see it just like, it works and you can do it. And I know I'm being nitpicky. That's the main thing. I'm being really nitpicky right now, but that's just how I feel about it. So that's all I have for B main. Let's go ahead and move on to Dish, and then we'll talk about Arcade, and then we will be moving on to Wallboost, which I know a lot of people are going to be excited about that. Okay, so now we're going to be talking about Dish, and this one is also extremely easy. The only thing that you need to be looking at is up on this building here. There's these two lines, the one next to the Kingdom logo, and then this one here. And you can do one or the other. It doesn't matter that much. I'm going to show you the difference though. So the first line, when you toss it, it's going to land a bit deeper, as you can see. So if you notice that like a jet is like running away a lot, or isn't really committing to the fight that much, or maybe it's a Cypher or something like that, that's one that you can do to get them and then run up with your team and catch them. Then the other one here is going to obviously land out a bit further, which is good at catching the jets. It still also goes really deep as well. So I think that one arguably is a bit better. But if you know that they're not committing to the fight too much and they're mainly playing for information, this can be a really good one to land the kill, because as you can see, it goes all the way up here. So you would have to run all the way back here just to get out of the range of it, which if your jet or whoever your duelist is pushing up, they may still be able to get the kill. And that's like one of the best things about Gravnet, is just how like oppressive it can be, because when you throw that, no one wants to get hit by it, because it's not that it's scary or that it does damage. It's just annoying. It's really annoying to like have to pull it off. It's really annoying to like get caught and then be swung because you're like freaking out over a bunch of stuff happening. The only way to counter it is to either stay calm, and once you get netted, fight the person that's swinging you, which that's, not easy in itself, or you have to run away from it. And if you're running away from it, then you can run up on it and get this kill here, because like I said, by the time your jet runs out up here, you might be able to catch them. But yeah, so that's the only one I have for Dish. Like I said, these are going to be really easy, nothing super crazy, nothing really different. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the arcade one, and then we're going to go over two Wallboosts, and then we'll go ahead and I'm going to get a little bit into something about those Wallboosts before we go into them, but I'll talk about that once we get to that. Let's go and move into the arcade one. Okay, so for the arcade one, this one is going to be thrown a little bit different, just kind of like the B main one, where we kind of threw it, the more inconsistent one where we kind of threw it a little weird. This one is also going to be thrown a little bit different. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be pushing ourselves up into this corner, and we are going to take the middle line between our net and sonic sensor, and we're going to be putting that on the bottom corner of this panel right here. Now, we're not going to jump, we're going to run and throw, but we're going to throw it almost immediately. So we're not going to tap, but we're going to commit to the run, but we're going to throw it very early. You'll see what I mean. Let me go ahead and do it real quick, and then you'll understand what I'm saying.
No escape.
So you can see we commit to the run, but we threw it almost immediately. And this is actually the improper one. So this means I threw it too late. Like, you want to throw it almost immediately. That one still works, but this is meant to capture anybody trying to fight for the orb or fighting early. So I'm going to go ahead and throw it one more time.
No escape.
So as you can see, this is the proper one. I would practice this one and see if you can get it consistent before you go and try it in your games. I did mess it up that first time, so it is a little inconsistent, but once you get that timing, it's more of a timing thing rather than anything else. It's not too hard, but I would just practice it before you run it in games. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have. And again, the main reason that I'm not doing nets like on Pearl or Ascent where you're looking up into the sky and throwing them is because they land too late because you are able to fight people so fast. The only reason you would do nets that you throw up really high would be to catch them off guard. So for example, if like, you were to throw a net like this, you would run up with it. And you're baiting shots, and then you have it land as you're fighting them. I don't have any lineups for that but just to put an idea in your guys' head if you do want to try and find something like that. But I think the nets for fighting with your team that I showed you are going to be some of the best ones that you can do. I'm going to show you the A main lineup. It's not much of a lineup, and then we'll go ahead and move into Wallboost. But yeah, so that's my main idea of using the nets for this map. You can always just throw them on site as well because a lot of people may be fighting in sight. One thing that like isn't too bad is to throw it into heaven. It's very easy to land it up there. So, but yeah. So let me go ahead and show you the A main one, and then let's move into the wall boost. Okay, so for the A main one, you're going to notice that when we stand, this is where the barrier is. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and end the game phase to show you guys. You'll notice that we are pretty far back. I think a lot of people would expect the barrier to be right here. But one way or another, this is where the barrier starts. So I'm going to go ahead and end it. And when we run past, you're going to notice that you get a little bit of area to work with where before you are facing this person. Now, the barrier for the defense side is like right here. Let me go ahead and end the game phase again to show you. So as you can see, it's going to take me maybe 4 steps to see the enemies and then back off. So this is where a net lineup would be perfect, but we're going to have a very basic one because there's no hole in the roof or anything. Well, the only hole in the roof is right here, this little tiny crack. But as we can see, it's not really going to cover what we want. So coming off this barrier, we're going to run up. And again, I don't have a proper lineup for this, but you're going to notice the box and then the wall above the box. And I'm just kind of just tossing it against that. It goes back enough. It covers what you need. There's no real reason to find a lineup when you can just kind of toss it how however you feel, something like that. So, but yeah, so I'm just going to be, tossing it like that. And it's going to, if anybody's that deep, it's going to catch them no matter what. It's a little unpredictable because if you throw it as fast as you can, they're most likely going to be getting the tail end of it rather than like, being able to watch it go by and then run away. So one way or another, it still pressures them off the corners. So that's how I'm going to be throwing the nets. So yeah, it's a really basic one and I know it's boring, but that's all I can really do because as you can see, the top of the ceiling is completely sealed off besides that one little crack right there, which won't end up working anyway. All right. And that's pretty much everything I have for the Gravnet. So let's go ahead and move on to the wall boost. Okay. So now moving on to wall boost. Okay. So the thing that I wanted to go over earlier with wall boost is, the ones that I'm going to show in guides are going to be ones that I genuinely think are like the things you should do. Like, I think they're really good. I think it's worth it. And I think it could land you some really cool clips and kills, and I genuinely think it's a good off angle. I'm not going to show any really basic ones. Any basic ones I will go over in a future wall boost guide where I go over every map. I will go over more basic ones. For example, and this is the only one that I'm going to show besides the other two. The other two are much harder and are a lot more, like, they're a lot better than this one. Okay, so to show a more basic one, what you're going to be doing is you'll see this box here and you'll see this kind of like curved orange design. We're going to be looking at the middle. There's like a little bar in the middle. And then you're going to look down at the ground. And if you don't already know this, you want to look at the angle that the wall is going to come to your shoulder. So I'm not looking straight. I'm looking a little bit to the right. And then I'm looking on the ground here. Again, I am on low graphics, like literally everything on the lowest. That's how I'm able, that's how I will see the dots on the ground. On high graphics, you might not be able to see that. You're gonna see this dark dot, this white dot, this very, very like sand colored dot, like I don't know how to explain it. It almost blends in, and this darker dot. I'm looking at the more sand colored dot that almost blends in.
Barrier deployed.
Throwing the wall, tapping W, and then jumping up and jumping backwards. This wall's off this way, and then we can also look this way, and we can sit far back enough to where it doesn't, you know, we don't have to worry too much about this person down here. This is the only time that I would throw a sensor down into the main, so that way if somebody does push up, we are able to swing this way. You then can also use one of the sensors that I will eventually go over later. If you want to do like this one on the rock that faces more forward, or if you want to do something over here, like there is these bended ones down up here. You just do that,
Listening.
and then when you're sitting up on top here, you know, we can kill these people down here. I think it would be better to do the ones on the rock rather than this one because they can see you pretty early. But yeah, so that's the more basic one, and the reason I don't want to go over those is because there is a ton of them on every map because you can boost up on, you know, anything. And there's no reason to go over all those. I'm going to show you the cooler ones. For example, a much cooler one staying on the A site. What we're going to be doing is coming up into the dish side. And this is one thing I was going over earlier, which was I think adapting to how you put your setup down is how you're going to shine on this map. So, for example, this wall is going to end up walling this off. So then you need to question, where should I put my sensors at? Well, you can either put one here, but we need, then if we're going to do that, we need a sensor that is going to stop the main push and not be set off easily. So we need to make sure we come really far back on this one. And as you can see, if we're in the smoke, you know, we're not going to accidentally set the stun off, but the second we run out, we're going to hit that stun, which then we can accompany that stun with one right here. So that way there's no way for them to sneak by at all. They're going to run into a stun no matter what. And this will also play into this wall boost up here. But moving on from all that, the only other variation is to put a stun over there. But that's, you know, something I went over earlier. So let's go ahead and talk about how to do this wall boost. So again, low graphics. This is how I see. This is how I'm lining up with everything. I'm lining up. There, you know, this is like this pipe thing. I don't know what you want to say this is. And you're going to walk up, and you're going to see there is a green line and another green line, and then right in the middle there's a white line. I'm lining up with this white line. Just again, here's the green, white, green. I'm lining up with this white line right here. Then I'm going to turn back, and you'll see on this part of the drop down, there's these little dark gray spots. I'm looking at the second one from the right. So right here in the top left corner of it.
Blocking movement.
And as you can see, 100% accurate, and we were able to peer over and look into the main. If you play Sage, you know this boost is this wall boost is a very normal thing for Sage players to do sometimes. But here is the Deadlock version of it. And then here's what I really, really like about this wall and why I wanted to show it off so bad. We wall off, drop. Let's say like, let me go ahead and boost back up one more time, and I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Blocking movement.
Okay. So now that I am back up on the wall, let's say you aren't seeing anybody coming from A main or they're playing too slow. Well, you just have to move, literally touch one movement key and the wall breaks, and then you can drop down. This is now walled off. And then if at that time you catch a bad timing and they start coming out, all you have to do is just pull out your gun and walk over here, and then we can play off our sensors. If you don't catch a bad timing, and like let's say we're smoked off, if you're not smoked off, all you have to do is just be careful as you walk by, and then we're now playing on site. And then another example, let's say we are, you know, conscious that they are A main and we hear the door open. As we're dropping down, we can grab this, put that sensor there. And there you go. And then we can play off this sensor over here. Our teammate that comes up here can play here. Again, that sounds like a really specific scenario, but it's not hyper specific. Just multiple different scenarios showing you how you can react to it. That's why I love that wall boost so much. And I'm going to definitely play it at least once every time I play Fracture. I think it is that good, and I think you should definitely learn it. So yeah, that's pretty much what I want to go over. Now, we're going to go over this other boost, and this is a boost that I am making a video about. It's the third revamped wall boost guide that is going to also go over a new piece of wall tech. It's not entirely new. It's I'm gonna just run over real quick. Basically, it is PB boost, which is the B main ascent boost if you haven't seen that. Boni's hit it. I have a video talking about it. That video goes over the PB boost, which means just literally means perfect boost. So I'm saying perfect boost. But anyway, it's going over that. It's B main ascent. Basically, the only issue with that boost is that you could only do it there. But I found a way to do it anywhere so long as you make the walls uneven. Whole thing that I'm going to go over later. I don't want to, take up the time in this video going over it. But all you need to know is that is the hardest wall boost to do. You need a specific lineup for it, and I'm going to show you how to do it, but I'm not going to go super in depth on it. If you want to learn how to do UPB boost, which is the name of it, it's universal perfect boost, then you will have to wait for the guide that I'm going to put out, hopefully sooner than later. It's pretty much being done. I just need to record the actual guide part of it, but let's go ahead and move on to that, so then we can move on to the ult lineups. So let's go ahead and head over to B site. Okay, so yes, this one is on B site, and the reason why I like this wall boost so much is because you're literally going to be looking like this. This is obviously me in ghost mode right now, but this is what it's going to look like. So we can put a sensor here and then hold here. We can look over here and see arcade. It's very solid. It gives you a very nice place of area to hold. Obviously you are sacrificing your walls, so this is when you would want to spread your sensors out and put them in good areas. You can put one here, put one there, so that way it's harder for them to enter sight. And then you always have your net to toss that way, so on and so on. But let's go and move into how to do the wall boost. What you're going to be doing is you're going to line up with this little shape on the wall right here on the left side of it. And no, it doesn't matter. This part doesn't matter as much as the other lineup parts does. This just helps make it more consistent. Then you're going to look at the ground, and just like if you know how to do the PB boost, you're going to look at the edges of the lines up here and see if they're jagged or not. So as you can see, as I turn, they are jagged. But once I turn back, they are straight. When they are straight and smooth, that means we are at the correct area. Now we're going to walk forward until we get up to this part here where the dark gray and the lightish gray, kind of like a whitish cream color, meet. And then we're going to turn left, like I was showing you, 5 clicks. If you don't know what a click is, it's when your screen does this little bounce and the anti-aliasing of the object on the ground becomes jagged and not straight. So you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. And then now what we're going to be doing is we're going to do the boost, which the whole point of it is getting to this point, and then you need to have good timing. The timing is you're going to jump and throw at the same time, but if you jump and throw at the exact same time, the wall is going to land, and then you're going to roll off the front of it. You want to jump and then almost immediately afterwards throw it. You don't want to take too long though, because if you take too long, then you are going to get stuck. And then as you can see, when I jumped on the wall, I got shot backwards and then I jumped up. And at first I was inaccurate. If that ever happens, you can try walking to the right slightly like I did. And now I am fully accurate. And as you can see, we're fully accurate and we're able to sit up here, see over here. We can see over here. If we don't like the position entirely, we can also jump on top. But yes, that's how you do this wall boost. You can definitely try it, but I would wait once for that wall boost, revamped wall boost guide to come out, where I go over all of them and this one. And then also another wall boost new piece of tech that I found that I will also go over in that video as well. Definitely look forward to that one, and you should definitely subscribe if you are interested in seeing that in the future, and turn on the notification bell. But that's pretty much everything I have to say. So let's go ahead and move on to the ult lineups, and then we'll be talking about sonic sensors, and then we will be done. Okay, so with the ult lineups, I'm going to do all the plant denial ones first, and then we'll go into post-plant ones. The thing about the ult lineups on this map is that they can be a little finicky and a little specific, and there are a decent amount of areas to plant on A, especially, that you will need to be conscious of where they are planting, so that way you can ult properly, which that leads to paying attention on how they are playing, how the map is being played, so on and so on. So the first one, I have to give my credits to him. My goat, you're 9th on TikTok and now YouTube. The funny thing is, right as I found this one, I thought it didn't work because I didn't test it. and I immediately claimed that it just doesn't work and didn't try it. And then I saw your ninth TikTok where he shows that it does work. So it was just really bad timing. So I ain't going to steal his credit. I'm not going to steal his credit. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be walking up against this line on the wall right here in the spawn room. And then if they are planting in the default position, you're going to be looking up here, right up onto this corner right here. And then ulting, and it's going to bounce down and land over there. Now, it is a finicky one because if I am correct, if you stand right here, I don't think it hits you. I actually want to experiment something. Can you stand here, like on as far back without being exposed to the main? A little bit more. You're still exposed. Okay, you're good now. I don't think it will though. Oh my god, it does. But at that time, you are also revealing a lot of your body, so it doesn't hurt. And most of the time, people are not planting there. They're planting in the middle or more to the left. So yeah. Now, the reason why this one works, and this is something I don't know if a lot of people realize, but you'll see whenever I shot my ult, there was a little pop in the middle. I'm gonna do it one more time to show you. That pop, from what I understand, and I have messed around with these ult lineups a lot, is that is the eye that lets you know if it's going to claim and see somebody. Sometimes it doesn't quite follow that rule and it will break it a little bit, but so long as the pop in the middle can see somebody, it is going to pull them. And as you can see, obviously I'm not standing perfectly in where the eye popped, but as you can see, we can see a decent chunk behind the back of sight. So this is a really cool one, and I'm definitely going to try and hit it in my games. But yeah, so that's pretty much all I have to say for that one. It's a really cool one. I really like it, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you one to hit the back plant that a lot of people will do, and they will go play main. Okay, so for this ult lineup up in heaven, we're gonna be lining up with the caution, the caution the drop sign. And this doesn't have to be exactly here. Again, this is just more for consistency's sake. We need to watch out for drop for anybody pushing and fighting here. And then once we know that we're safe over here, the bomb going down, what we're going to be doing is looking up at this little ledge right here. And we don't want to be too far left or too far right or in the middle. We almost want to be in the middle and then slightly to the right, because if you're in the middle, it'll hit the edge of this right here. So if I go ahead and ping that real quick, and then, I do my thing. If we go straight up, you can see that we're a little bit right here. So right about here, not all the way to the right, but just right here. You'll see that the eye bounces or pops right there, and it'll catch anybody that is back there. Yeah, these are all the ones that there are really on the A site that I can remember or that we have found. I think there's a lot more that we could find. But yeah, there are more post-plant ult ones as well. There just aren't a lot of plant denial ones for A. But there are more on B, which is what we're going to go ahead and move into now. So on B, we have a decent amount of options. Our first one is to hit the dice plant. I just line on top of this diamond. It doesn't have to be exact again. And then you're going to be looking at this line right here in the middle, going up about just as high as you can. And then, as you can see, it's going to go over this, and it's going to go over the generator and land right here. So once again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, I can stand right here and it still pretty much captures it all. That one's pretty good. There's nothing really entirely wrong with it. And then for the opposite end, if you want to stand in the exact same spot and then look up here, you're going to see this part of the building right here, and you're going to go all the way to the left right here. And then you would just want to go as deep as you can. As you see, it's going to bounce, land right here for this plant over here. Very, very solid. The only way that they can dodge it is if they are in this corner, but this is not a common plant at all. Most people will plant on this wall or back here. So it's a very solid one. But yeah, so very solid, two very solid ones. Now, if you want something on the cooler end, you're going to, so what you're going to do is you're going to come over here to the Dare to Dream with the Radeon Collider poster. You're going to line up just onto the line right here. And credits to my, the Twitch chatter that pointed this out to me. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be looking directly up to this little window that some people might not even realize that was here. And you're going to see, and I'm going to try and show you exactly what I'm saying. This darker, there's a bunch of lighter leaves, and then there's this darker leaf right here. I'm trying to outline it, and you'll see how there's this part of the leaf here, and then there's this bigger one here. you're going to be going into the middle of these leaves right here. And then you're going to go out as far as you can before the ult changes to where it's the blue ring is outwards. And then you can see here that we can no longer see the blue ring. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and show you one more time. So out, the blue ring's out, the blue ring is in. This is where we want it. And we want to go as far as we can. It's going to land, and the eye is going to pop right there. And if I go stand where that eye is, right here, it pops right about here, and it's able to see these people here. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot it and then show you where the eye lands. You can see it's right here on this corner, and it's able to see this person here. I would definitely practice this with teammates before you go and do this in game to see if you can if maybe you might be slightly off or anything like that. Just make sure you have this one down before you go and do it, because it can be a little hard to get consistently. But that's pretty much everything I have to show for plant denial ults. Let's go ahead and move into post plant ults. I have a lot of I have some definitely interesting ones, so let's go ahead and move into those real quick. Okay, so for the A main one, unfortunately we don't have anything super crazy. The main thing that you're going to want to do though is you're going to want to plant right here on the edge here. So if I go ahead and you know, toss the bomb over there. Okay, and then you're going to come into the back of A main, and if you do want a lineup though, you don't really need one. All you're going to be doing is there's this box. You can just line up where these lines meet on the ground. And then you're going to look at the white part of the sign over here, just roughly in the middle. As you can see, it goes and it will catch this person here. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the like an A main one. There isn't really anything else you can do. One thing that you can do is if you are able to make your way into sands, we can use this ult over here. You know, if we're back there, we can do this one. And then if we want, we can come more to the left. If you are wanting a lineup, we're going to come back to this box and then have these walls match. And then we can just look up here. As you can see, it's going to grab that person if we plant in front of the box again. So yeah, another pretty solid ult lineup. If you are able to make your way up here, it's not that hard. Especially if you're in a 1v1, opening this door and getting up into heaven is not a bad idea at all. Especially if you know they're on site. You can pretty much guarantee a win almost, because if you like save any extra utility like net or wall or sonic sensors or something like that, you can put it down here. So, you know, we hear them running on site, we come through the door, we get up the rope, and then we just stand, you know, back here. Again, it doesn't need to be anything consistent, especially if, you know, we have just a general idea. Like, I'm going to shoot it over here. As you can see, it still hits that. So you don't need anything super crazy. Now, one that I have, ult lineup that I have that is specific, but I think it's fun, is if you plant up here, you can come up into drop and get into this corner, and you're going to look up here. And as you can see, there is these 3 lines. You're just going to be looking at the very, I'd say just look in the middle. And then you're going to jump. And as you can see, it doesn't change that much. So you are able to jump and get the ult lineup without messing it up pretty easily. So we're going to go ahead and jump. And as you can see, it is going to bounce down and grab this person. And yes, I have tested this one. It does grab them even if they are diffusing. So don't worry about them crouching and dodging it. All right, and after showing that one that is a little bit more niche, I'm going to give you 2 ults that work towards the drop area. And after this, we'll go into B ult lineups, and then we'll do the sonic sensors. So I'm going to go ahead and speed run these 2 parts real quick. Basically, all you're going to be doing is coming to this area right here and drop. You're going to be pushing yourself up into this corner. And then for the plant right out in the front, you're going to be looking between the frame of this door and this panel right here, just like that, to hit that. And then for another plant, what you can do is you're going to plant the bomb here. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and swap teams and grab the bomb real quick. Okay, now that I have the bomb, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be planting on this corner right here. And I have tested it. It doesn't even matter if they come over here and plant it. They will still get hit by this ult. This is also one that I discovered while making this video. So this is something that I haven't shown off yet or shown anybody. So you're going to be standing in the same exact spot. Then you're going to be looking at this tan part of the wall. And you're going to notice this part, this is the incorrect version of the ult. You want to come more to the right, so it does this, and then does that. So here, and then a little bit more to the right, and it does this. And you'll see it comes over, it bounces, and pops right here. And it will grab that person. The only thing that sucks about this one is that you are planting right on the, like kind of the part that you can be shot through. So I would do this one so long as you know that you're safe to go ahead and plant here. But yeah, so let me go ahead and move on to the B ult lineups for you now. All right, so for post plants on B, we are a little bit more limited because of the main reason being that these mains are very far away from the bomb, but we do still have some. First of all, just a quick little box one for you. If you toss the bomb, you know, right in its normal plant spot, usually it's on this, sometimes in this corner right here, you can come back to main and, you know, you get up in this corner right here. So you'll notice we have 3 different ones. You have this one, and then this one. This one's going to be the correct one. You can see it bounces off the wall and lands there. Pretty easy one, pretty consistent as well. That's the main box one for B main. On the other side of the spectrum, we have the arcade one. Now, this one's going to look weird. This is going to be mainly one for a one-on-one situation. So, you know, you're going to like, you know, you're in heaven, you sneak your way down, and then you hear them going over here. You know, they ran past, you know, you're hiding here. Like you make your way over somehow, you know, anyway, that you make your way over into here. And you're just going to peek out just a little bit. You know, you're watching this to make sure they don't swing you. Pull out ults. And you'll notice that as we pull the ults out, this is too far. And you want to make sure that you're as far to the right as you can before it does that. You want to be right here. And then the ult is going to bounce and is going to hit most of the dice area. So you're pretty good to plant wherever you want, but just try to make sure you get it on that box right there. I know this one is like a little weird, but we're just very limited because we can't really go over because all of this is one solid block. So there's not, and then this is too high. So there's no, we can't really get over. There may be that one down the line that we discover, but for now, that's mainly what I have. It's something that we can at least work with. Okay, and then for the other plant, I also only have 2 for this one. The main reason is because the B main one that some people may know from the streams, I don't want to include it here because I think it's too inconsistent. I don't think it's worth it to do. So I'm going to show you 2 that I think are fun. And are pretty cool, but they are both on the arcade and heaven side. If someone, you know, I think we will find one down towards B main, and I will definitely make a video on, you know, like I have a plan for an updated ult guide on every single map. So if we find one eventually, I will update you guys on it. But what you're going to be doing is you want to plant the bomb, you know, right in this area. So I'm going to go ahead and toss the bomb. What I do is I look between this box and just kind of go in the middle between this bar right here. And for the first one, if you after planting the bomb, you can find your way into heaven to wrap around. All you're going to do is just stand right here and you're going to line the walls up. And then the second you hear the bomb go off, you're going to go as far to the right as you can. As you can see, you know, the entire beam goes into it. So very, very, very easy one to do. You know, anyone can do that one. Now on the other hand, one that's a little bit more, I think it's a little bit more fun, is this ult right here. Now, the way that I do it is I'm looking down at the ground, and again, all low settings. I'm looking, there's this little itty bitty dark spot right here. So I'm looking perfectly straight down, and then I just walk out to that point, and then I'm looking up here, and then I am looking right at the bottom right of this triangle. You'll see it bounces and lands right in front of the ult there. I think this is a really fun one, especially in a 2v1 situation, because you can ult like this and then you can come and be distracting over here. So I think the main idea of how to play this is to drop a sensor behind you like this, so that way the other person can't push you. And you don't have to stand on that exact spot. That's just what I was doing. And then you ult, grab the person, and then you can play over here like this. If they're not pushing you, you know, you can pick up that sensor and then push up to, you know, spam at the bomb. But I don't really have any other post-plant ults, so as of right now, this is, again, through the little bit of research that us in the community and some of the other content creators have found. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and move you guys onto the sonic sensor little montage part, and then that's going to be it for me. I appreciate y'all showing up, appreciate y'all being here, and look forward to a 2024 wrapped up video where it's just all the clips throughout that year. And then after that, we are going to have the 3rd revamped Wallboost video coming out. And then after that, plenty more videos that I haven't announced yet, but are on the way. So thank you guys. Here's the 2025. Hope you guys are, when you see this, are enjoying the new agent and the new map rotation that are coming out. But with all that, I'm going to go ahead and move you guys on to that. Have a good day, and I will see you guys in the next one.
Listening. Sound sensor up. Listening. Sound sensor up. Listening. Listening. Sound sensor up. Sound sensor up. Sound sensor up. Sound sensor up. Listening. Listening. Sound sensor up. Sound sensor up. Listening.